Do you want to make something that will enable you to mount your smartphone on a tripod? Well, in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to make a DIY smartphone tripod mount for no money because it's completely made out of cardboard and household items. So let's jump into it. As usual, the first thing that we're going to need to do is design our phone mount inside a design notebook or on paper. So some designs aren't going to work, and you can process your ideas a lot faster on paper, and having some extra colors can help you design moving parts and understand your drawings better or share them with other people more easily. I like to design my parts in multiple views once I've figured out what I'm going to make it. And I'm not making all the layers of cardboard. I could do that. That'd probably get too overcomplicated. Right now I'm just trying to get a general idea for what will work. So I just circled the design I'm going to go with, and now I'm drawing it from a few different perspectives to make sure I don't miss anything and I run into any issues that are just inherent with the design ahead of time. And there might be some issues that I run into later, but they're not going to be as big a deal because they're not going to be like the design itself that has the problem. It might just be an issue with the way I built it. And I just added some notes to make sure I knew exactly what was happening. From here, I'm going to cut out the pieces for the inner slide of the mount. So the mount has two parts, an inner part and an outer part, and the outer part here is going to be based around the inside, and then the inside's just going to slide right in. So this has got to be designed first. So I just cut out 3 pieces of cardboard, and those are all going to create this inner slide. And then the grain is going up and down the long way of the slide. That's going to make it a lot more durable and harder to bend for the phone, so it's going to be a lot stronger that way. And I'm just first glued all the ends together at one end, because if I glued it all the way down, it wouldn't be possible to bend them. Here I'm using a bending technique from this video right here, and that is basically I cut out the width of the cardboard so I can fold it over really cleanly. Although you want to make sure you leave enough room for your phone and an extra 1/8 of an inch. So right here I have enough room for my phone, but you want to make sure that you leave enough room for your phone plus the other layer of the cardboard. So right here I kind of ran out of room, and it doesn't fit in perfectly because this is going to have an 1/8 of an inch cardboard in front of it. From there, you're going to fold up all of the ends. So after folding up the inside one, you just curl the other ones around by crushing them over, and those don't have to be cut. I think it makes it stronger when they're just in their original form and just bent. You glue them on nice and strong, and now that they're all glued together, it's going to be extremely difficult to unbend it. You're going to want to keep checking with your phone to make sure that everything's working out perfectly. That black thing there is a very close approximation to the size of my phone because my phone is recording this time lapse. I just want to add some paper to the outside because that's going to make it move a lot more smooth, and then it also keeps it from fraying and makes it look nicer because we all want our cardboard models to look really nice. Getting both sides down nice and smooth with the paper, I just hot glue that down. It's a lot easier to do it that way. You're going to want to cut your inner channel to the right length. So it's going to just be a little shorter than your phone is what you want. Probably about no more than 1 inch shorter than your phone. And if it's too long, you're not going to be able to clamp it. I know we're just getting started, but if you like content like this, as well as tips and strategies for makers, then you should subscribe to this channel with that big red button down below. Also, if you're already getting value, then smash the like button and ring the bell notification after you subscribe to make sure you get notified every time I upload a new video. And I just want to remind you that in the description down below, there are links and timestamps, as well as extra video resources and anything I forgot. So make sure you scroll down there and check that out so you don't miss anything. Now let's jump back into the project. And now here you need to make the tube part. So the cardboard tube is basically going to be the width of the back of this plus the width of the side plus this width plus this width. So all of those put together is how long that piece needs to be before you fold it. And then you're also going to need to add an 1/8 of an inch between each of these widths for that fold, because we're going to fold it in such a way that it's going to get slightly smaller. It's going to be nice folds, but you got to leave a little bit of distance between each fold. So at each crease, add a bit of an 1/8 of an inch to make sure that it's big enough. You might want to experiment a little with this because it might end up being a little less than an 1/8 of an inch, or maybe a little more, depending upon how thick your cardboard is and how you ended up folding it. From here, we're cutting through just one layer of the cardboard, and that is allowing us to make a nice neat folds. And then we're also doing this with the grain. So the grain is going up and down like this, and our folds are folding along the grain. That makes it easier to fold, and we'll get the right size that we want without having to do complicated folding technique. Once you get that, you fold it around, and I recommend having a little bit of extra on the back, a little bit extra for the last one, probably about 1 inch, and then that just allows it to make sure you have a little wiggle room, and you can make sure that you have enough to glue onto at the end. Now we need to make the back pieces, the under jaws for the cardboard, and those are simply folded with the grain. They can be as wide as you want, so I just made them as wide as the back of the tube, and you need 2 of those. Make sure that you're still adding a little bit of extra distance in there, because as you fold it in by slicing through one layer of the cardboard on the inside, it's going to shrink the size a little bit, and so you want to make sure you have enough room for your phone to still fit in there. Once you have one of them down, glued on nice and securely, it'll be easier to put the next one on, where you just glue the whole back side down, fold it over, glue the bottom side down, fold it up, and glue that down. So we have a bunch of extra, and then we can just cut it off so that they end at exactly the same point, as opposed to our earlier, which had these kind of stair steps, which look pretty elegant but aren't amazing. Now we have to make the base of the model. That allows it to stand on its own on a table. Basically just trace out the bottom of the body with the tube and the bottom jaw, and then add a 1/2 inch on either side to give it a nice wide base, plus about 1 inch in the front, which is going to fold up and join these 2 bottom jaws to make it a total of 3 jaws. You might want a little more than 1 inch so that we can do that same fold, have a little extra, and then cut it to the right length tactic. We cut out the shape we need. It looks kind of like a really big T. You glue it to the bottom, try and get it centered as you can. Now, in order to get it to spring closed, we're going to need rubber bands mounted to something, and that something turns out to be these thumbtacks. Thumbtacks work really well for rubber band mounting points. So first, you find where you're going to put the hole. You add some glue into the hole, forcing it in with the glue gun, then add some glue to the thumbtack and stick it on. You can also add a little bit of glue around the outside, which you can kind of mold with your fingers once it's cooler so that it holds on really well. After that, you got to find a pair of rubber bands, one for either side. I ended up doubling mine on each side just to make sure I had a solid connection. Now for the mounting, in order so that you can get it on a tripod, you're going to need a 1/4 20 nut. A 1/4 20 nut. So that's a 1/4 inch around and pitch of 20, which is how many threads per inch there are. And it's okay if you don't understand it, just figure out what nut will thread onto your tripod, and then that's the nut you want to use. You're going to probably have to cut 2 layers of cardboard out in order to get the nut to sink all the way in, and to sink the nut, you simply put glue around the inside of the hole and push the nut in, preferably by holding it with a bolt so that you can tell that it's straight, and then you can also avoid burning your fingers. Now, you're going to probably need to clean out the inside a little bit, depending upon how much hot glue got in there. You can see I'm doing that with my needle nose pliers. However, it turns out that I was using the incorrect size of nut. So that one was a 1/4 inch, but it didn't have a pitch of 20, so it never threaded on properly. In the end, I had to burn it out in order to remove it because of how much hot glue there was in there. And I got up and found a proper size nut, which went in super easily, and I had to glue it in again and put a little bit of glue along the top side, and then since there was so much glue left over sticking out from all the gluing I had done down there, I took the hot end of the glue gun and just ran it back and forth, different directions until all the glue was spread out in a nice thin layer that was also fairly grippy to make it mount more securely to my tripod. And it just is able to screw right in there. But before we mount it, we want to make sure it looks nice by adding the last bits of paper, cosmetics, and spray prevention, so it prevents the cardboard from peeling apart as we put it over there, and then also using the hot glue gun to seal up a few edges. It all works very nicely. We can mount it on the tripod, it can hold our phone, and we can record our videos. Question of the day: what do you use to stabilize your videos when you are recording them? Without a smartphone mount like this, it can be very challenging to get a stable shot. So what creative solutions have you come up with? Let me know in the comments below. I reply to every comment, so that would be awesome. I would really appreciate it and truly be grateful if you smashed the like button and subscribed with the big glowing MakerBrain logo right there. If that's too much to ask, no worries. You can always just watch my latest upload or the best suggestion, which is the video that YouTube is suggesting to you, and it's the one it thinks you should watch.